Video. Yeah, am I visible and audible clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Clearly.
So let's just get started, okay? So maybe you can start with your introduction first and then we can move ahead with the interview.
Okay. So good evening, ma'am. I'm Yash Agrawal. I recently graduated from Mithibai College, Mumbai. I did my Bachelor of Commerce from there. Before that, I was doing my schooling from OP Jindal School, Raigad,
Okay.
which is a CBSE school. I grew up in Raigad, which is a small town with a closely knit social group. Then when I moved into Mumbai, that's when the main reason for moving to Mumbai was to get some exposure of a big city, which I think I got. I learned a quite I learned quite a lot from the exposure that I got. Apart from that, I also did an internship from starting from my second year, which I have been continuing till now. Now the internship has got converted into a job after my graduation, but I have been continuing it for 3 years now. Apart from the internship, I have also been interested in a lot of other things during my college because I used to get a lot of free time during college. So there were some other things like college fest, entrepreneurship development. Those are the things that I was quite interested, and I was taking an active part towards it through my
Okay.
college.
Okay. So what are your hobbies? You don't have any hobby?
My hobbies as such are playing cricket. So I like to play cricket whenever I get time. Then the
Mm-hmm.
second is I have recently started investing in the lockdown itself. I've recently started investing in the stock market. So I try to read some of the business news so that I can alter my investing strategies based on those.
Nice. So you follow stock market, right?
Yes.
Do you know about the upcoming IPOs which are lined up or going live in next few days? Are you aware
Uh,
of those?
yes, ma'am. There are quite a few of the IPOs that are live or upcoming in the few days. Like Nureka is one. Another
Mm,
is Herbanka, I guess.
I heard about, yeah.
So these two I'm aware of. Then some of those which are recently, some
Another
like
one
IPOs
is
were got recently
Railtel.
concluded.
Another one is Railtel IPO, which is I
Realtel,
think,
yes.
yeah. So did you invest in any one of them?
No, ma'am.
Not yet, okay. So what do you think? So Nureka is going live tomorrow, I think. So what do you think? What is the listing price it is
It's good
opening
for the
tomorrow?
listing gain, obviously. If you see the past trend from the last 1 year, apart
Mm,
from IRFC, I guess every other IPO has given a massive listing gain. So I think
mm,
Eureka is also going on the same line. It will give a
okay.
massive listing gain,
Mm,
but I'm not sure so much about the long term horizon.
right. So tell me one thing that if I am going to invest in something,
Yeah.
like I am also in investment and etc. So what are the parameters you would like me to check before going for investment in IPOs, not specifically already listed companies but for IPOs?
Uh, so first is the balance sheet. You have to check what are the revenues, what rate it has been growing.
Mm,
Second, you have to check the expenses where the companies are incurring the major expenses.
okay.
Uh, you also have to check is there some one time gain or a one time expense that is leading to a major change in one of profit or one time loss. Then you have apart from that you also have to check the promoter
Pardon.
shareholding.
Okay.
uh, Promoter shareholding is important because it gives you an idea how much the promoter themselves are willing to get involved in the company. If the
Mm-hmm.
promoters have a high shareholding, they will take an active interest and active contribution in the
Mm,
management of the company. Apart from this, you can also see the CAGR of profit, and that all you can see from balance sheet.
okay. So
And you also, if
yeah, yeah, mention.
So if you are applying for an IPO for a listing in, you can also check the gray market premium, which gives you
Mm,
an idea ki how much is the expected gray market, how much is the expected listing gain that you can see on the day of listing.
sure. So, tell me one thing. You might have heard that Yes Bank went for another offering in last June or during that time, right? Yes Bank. So,
Um,
Yes Bank was already listed in the BSE and NSE, right? So, why did they again went for any offering, and what is it called? The
I'm not sure about that news, ma'am, but I
okay.
think it must be rights issue.
Okay.
I'm not
So,
sure.
you know a term called FPO?
FPO, yes, ma'am. Follow on public offering.
Yeah. So, what is it?
It's when a already listed company goes for
Mhm.
issue of additional shares in the public market again. So
Right.
it's like an
So Yes Bank went for that in last year only, in June or
okay.
something.
I'm not
You can read
sure.
about it. No issue,
Okay.
not an issue. Okay, so I understand that you are a commerce student, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
you have pursued 10th post 10th you have pursued commerce stream only, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll, go a little bit in economic side. Let's see what is. So I understand that you
Okay.
have exposure in macro and micro. So we'll
Yeah.
cover it a little bit. So you know what is elasticity, right? It's very simple.
Yeah.
Yes. What is elasticity?
So elasticity is the elasticity is basically the relation between two variables
Mm-hmm.
of how closely they are related. For example, if I
Okay.
take an example of elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand,
Hmm.
it will tell you ki how much the demand will change when the price
Mm-hmm.
is changed by a particular limit.
Mm-hmm.
So if a product has high price elasticity, it means that a little change in price will lead to a lot of change in demand or a high change in demand. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
the on the other side, if a product has low elasticity, it means that even with a high change in price, the demand will not get affected so much.
Right. So do you have pen and paper handy with you?
No, ma'am. Can you give me a minute? I'll just get it.
Not an issue. You can get it. Yeah. Go ahead. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I want you to make a demand curve for two types of industries. One would be automobile and other would be petroleum. Okay. Automobile
Automobile
and
and petroleum.
petroleum. Yeah.
Okay.
So make the demand curve and include the short run and long run variables. Like what is the short run and what is the long run demand curve? How it will be looking for automobile and petroleum
Okay, you want the curve for short run and demand curve for long run.
for both. Right,
Okay.
for both automobile and petroleum.
Mm,
So what are you making? Tell me.
yes, I'm just giving.
Sure.
So should I show it like this?
Let's see if I can see it. Okay, automobile, short run, long run. Petroleum, short run, long run. So tell me, what is the concept you followed for that?
So basically, the concept that I have followed, ma'am, is in the short run, as compared to the long run. In the short run, the demand curve will be a little flat because both of them, automobiles and petroleum, are something which are kind of the needs of the people that they cannot ignore, even if there is increase in price. In the short run, they might wait a little for the price to settle down. So it might lead to a decrease in demand when the price increases. But in the long run, if a particular person needs a car or petrol fuel, then they will have to go for it. So in the long run, the demand curve will be a little steeper in as compared to the short run. Now, if we see the petroleum and the automobiles, the petroleum will be a little flat as compared to automobiles in both the scenarios, short run and long run, because again the same concept applies. If a person has a car, he will need the petroleum even if the price goes up. But if a person doesn't have a car and he is going to buy a car, and if the price is high, so he can defer the buying of the car for some time and look for the price to settle down, because it's not an immediate need, but the petroleum will be an immediate need because he will need to use his car or his vehicle.
Okay. So did you think of any concept called durable consumer goods and non-durable goods here?
No, ma'am.
That is fine. Okay. So let us just a small another question on economics, and we'll be moving forward. So do you know about Phillips curve?
Phillips curve? No, sorry, ma'am.
That's fine. No issue. Okay. So I understand that you are from BCom, so you know a lot of finance, right? You should be knowing a lot of finance. So personally, I am not really good at finance, so I will be willing to learn something from you today. So tell me something about capital budgeting and the methods which you can use for capital budgeting, and what is
Uh,
your preferred method in case you.
capital budgeting is the process by which the profitability of a project is determined. Basically, the in capital budgeting we determine how much of the money that we are investing based on the time period, and what are the time period at which we are investing, and how much of the outflow that we can expect from that particular project. So
Okay.
if the outflow is greater than an inflow, then we can say, okay, this is a favorable investment that we can make.
Okay, if you said that if the outflow is greater than inflow, you'll be able to willing to invest. Okay.
Inflow in the project. For inflow means the
Okay.
money that we are giving in the project.
Understood. Understood. So tell me one thing, that what are the methods of capital budgeting?
Methods can be one is CAPM,
Okay.
uh, second is discounted cash flow, like we discount the cash flow
Okay.
that is coming in and going out
Okay.
at the present matlab, for the present date. So
Mm-hmm.
these two I'm currently aware of, ma'am.
That is fine. So what is the discounted cash flow model?
So in discounted cash flow model, we generally try to estimate what is the estimated cash flow that we will have to put into the project, and that will be coming out of the project at different point of time during the project. For example, if a project is will go on for 5 years, we will make an assumption that how much of the money will go in the first year, in the second year, in the third year, and how much of the money will be coming out of the project.
Okay.
Then we discount it for the current date, as in uh, for example, if the discount rate that we consider is 10%, so
Mm-hmm.
110 coming out of the project in next
Mm-hmm.
year will be
Mm-hmm.
discounted at the rate of 10%, so it will be considered as 100 rupees 100 in the present date.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
based on those,
yeah, continue, continue.
we check how much is the outflow and inflow that we are seeing, and we
Mm-hmm.
ascertain if it's a favorable investment that we can make.
Okay. So I see that you have your 10th and 12th score is really great, but your graduation is not so much. Why is it?
uh, because ma'am, in graduation I was not matlab, I was trying to shift my focus a little on the extracurricular side to gain the exposure, to gain a lot from the market as such, not directly from the academics. So in the first year, in the second year particularly, I couldn't focus on my studies properly, so that hit
Okay.
my grades.
Okay. So so you know that in our institution also you will be having lot of exposure to clubs, committees, and you will be having lot of exposure to other extracurriculars. So you will be repeating the same behavior, right?
No, ma'am. In the third year, I got to know ki okay, I
After
have to
two
balance
years,
between.
that after 2 years, your MBA will be over.
No, no, in first year I was okay. In first year I was focusing on both, but in second year I was
Mm.
focusing too much on the extracurriculars.
Mm.
But after that I got to know that
Mm.
balancing both is important, and I will not repeat the same during my MBA, because now I've
Mm.
already learned ki it is not possible to give focus too much on one side, because anyways you have got a limited time of 2 years to get all the knowledge you can, so you have to maintain balance and see that you do not tilt too much on the one side.
Okay, so you are working for, I understand that Skill Mind Technologies, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is it you do there?
I
For how long
generally
have you been working there, you mentioned?
I have been working there since 2018, Feb 2018.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
I initially joined as an intern to gain an exposure from the corporate world.
Mhm.
Then slowly, after my graduation, I got a job from there.
That's great. That's great. What do you do there?
I generally handle the administrative part and
Mhm.
sales and administrative part, if you say. So I have been handling the introductory meeting with clients, going to the prospective clients and showcasing our services that we can offer to them,
Mhm.
and
So what is
trying
it
to go
about?
to
Is it related to finance? What is the domain of the organization? Where?
it is related to IT, ma'am,
Okay. So
information
why did
technology.
you move from BCom to IT suddenly?
Uh, I did not move from BCom to IT. I'm not from the on the development side or the operation side of the company. More, I was trying to learn on the sales and marketing side,
Mm-hmm.
because I like marketing as a field. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I went into sales and marketing role, and that's what I have been doing there.
Understood. So now I understand that you do not really have much exposure in finance from working perspective. So
Yeah.
tell me something that in your current organization, have you suggested, given it is a technological world and you technology is every time
Evolving.
evolving, right? So what are the some upgrade or automation technique which you have suggested to your organization, or something you have added in your product to delight the customer? Can you give me some examples?
Uh, Not for the customers as such, ma'am, but for the internal teams, I have added. For example,
Okay.
there was no CRM system, customer relationship management system, that was in the
Mm-hmm.
system, that was in the organization. So I helped the organization to get it into our system, and I drove the implementation of the CRM part along with
Mm-hmm.
the training of the sales team. So
Okay.
I helped the sales team to get trained on the CRM system, and I kind of pushed them to feed the data every day so that the
Mm-hmm.
CRM system can be updated. That was a major change in the sales side, because that led to
Okay.
a complete overview for the management, and they can then see what deals are going on where and what is the current situation.
Okay. So we'll be wrapping up with just a last question. So you must be aware of working capital, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me one thing: is negative working capital feasible? And if it is feasible, then what are the implications? Just summarize in 2 or 3 sentences, maybe.
Uh, Negative working capital is not feasible, because
Okay.
you cannot, okay, for some time if you have negative working capital, you can bring in capital from other sources,
Mm-hmm.
and try to run your company or your organization, but for a longer time you cannot have infinite supply of capital. So you need the business to give out some growth and some positive flow, some positive cash flow. So their revenue needs to be more than the expense,
Okay.
because
Because.
you cannot have infinite supply of capital. You cannot keep infusing the capital into the company for an infinite time. So you need to have a positive working capital.
Okay. Understood. So we'll wrap the interview here. Okay.
Okay.
And first, I will tell you my feedback, and then you can ask me any question in case you have. So I really like the discussion of the IPO part. I am sure that you are, reading a lot about it. At least I thought something like that is happening. Then we okay. The first observation: whenever you are, giving your introduction, don't really limit your introduction to what you have done from academic perspective. Also include your hobbies, because sometimes those are also, if cricket is your hobby. So I'm not a cricket person, to be honest. But if cricket is your hobbies, lot of questions can come to you from cricket only,
Cricket.
which can, go in your favor only, right? In
Mm.
case you are aware of that. So that is there. The second point will be, yeah. So I asked you about the graphs, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So given I understand that current your interviews are also going to be online, right?
Online. Yeah.
So even if it is offline, so doesn't matter. So you don't want to remain silent for too long. Okay. So suppose
Okay.
when you are making the graph, so in case somebody asks you to make the graphs, they are not able to see what you are drawing, right? So
Yeah.
after 10 to 15 seconds or maybe 20 seconds, you would be willing to, ex- start explaining and drawing. So
While
now
drawing.
I'm
Okay.
considering, given, automobile is a product which people would be willing to buy, and then I will be making it like this. So there is a possibility you do not have to even show the curve.
Sure.
So
Okay.
it's just, in the discussion only, and maybe they won't even allow you to complete it. Maybe the discussion will take some different turn from there.
Oh,
So do that. You don't really want to remain silent for too long. Graphs were not really correct, so that you
okay.
okay, that you check. Okay,
Okay.
that
I'll do.
that you check. So actually it will be, I'll give you a hint that it will primarily be so the concept will come into play that automobile is a durable goods, that it's gonna, like, and
Mm-hmm.
petroleum is not, right? So you were correct while you said the, which will be flatter and which will be steeper, but the long run and short run for automobile will be inverse of petroleum's long run and short run. So you can actually show the both the curves in one graph only, that
Okay.
petroleum short run is going to be automobile's long run and vice versa. So you just read a small thing about it. So automobile and petroleum was just an example. You can, read more about durable consumer goods and non-durable goods and
Non-durable.
their demand curves, right? Phillips curve, it's okay. I didn't really expect. So it's a kind of, a bonus question it was. And then we talked about, you know, yeah, capital budgeting, right? So capital budgeting, your answer was correct, but the methods you mentioned were not. So you'd be willing to take a look in that there are
Okay.
payback period, internal rate of return, NPV. I think NPV you mentioned, right? No, so you mentioned DCF, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
just take a look that what are the methods, and because given you have a BCom background, they are going to grill you on the
They will.
those.
Yes.
And you have a Calcutta call, right?
Understand.
You have a Calcutta
Yes,
call,
ma'am.
right? Yes. So the Calcutta interviews are
Yes, ma'am.
very, methodical,
Focus on
technical,
academics.
mathematical, right? So you would be
Yes.
willing to know. So I know one of my friends who were asked the question to derive the DCF model formula in the interview. So you'd be willing to study more on
Okay.
those, okay? That how the what the are the formulas, how they're derived. Maybe they won't ask you the formula directly. You just need to know the concept, right? So study those,
Concept.
okay? And yeah, the negative working capital is possible. It's where it is possible. So I'll give you a small example just to respond to the so consider about FMCG companies. Okay, so FMCG companies are so what is the formula of working capital? It is a current asset minus current liability, in case you consider a
Current
holistic
liabilities.
approach, right? So FMCG companies are going to have a lot of dealers, right, who are going to stock their products and finally, supply it to the brick and mortar stores, right? So the dealers,
Yes, ma'am.
FMCG companies generally take advance from the dealers. So in case you are a dealer and I am say Unilever, so you have to pay me a 3 months advance before I give you the product, right? So in the long run,
Okay.
so these are going to be your liability side, right? All the dealers, they are
Mm.
paying humongous
All
amounts
the
because
advance.
that is how they are working, right? The FMCG company. So that is going to be in your liability side. So though it is not really negative working capital per se, but it is feasible, and this is an example which you can take. FMCG companies are the example. Okay,
Okay.
from your working perspective, you need to prepare the leadership based questions. So whenever your situational question is thrown at you, you would be willing to handle it in a framework called STAR. Have you heard about it?
Star, no, ma'am.
So it is first to explain the situation, the task in hand,
Mhm.
actions you've taken, and what are the results which you derived from that. So don't take too
Okay.
long time to explain that, but just follow this format. It will be, quite decent response which you'll be giving.
Okay.
And don't use a lot of Hindi words. Some if there are South Indian people in your panel, they won't like it. I was grilled on that. uh, so I have noticed one thing, that you stop in between and suddenly you recall one point and you start responding to that, and you
Mm-hmm.
start saying that, and I stop and ask you the question. So don't do that. Maybe you can
Okay.
take 10-15 seconds, and so can I take these 10-15 seconds to think about the response, so then you
Think
can
about it.
arrange it in points. And if possible, try to give a bullet point based response, like I would be categorizing it in the 3 points, maybe certain number of points. Maybe if you don't have the correct number, the first point being, the second point being, it's a very neat response, and the interviewer is also aware of it, right?
Okay.
Overall, your communication and etc was good. Don't use Hindi words and don't stop in between. That's it. Yeah.
Understand.
So, do you have any question for me?
No, ma'am. Not right now, at
That's fine.
least.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay. Best of luck. All
Thank,
the best.
thank you so much,
Okay.
ma'am. Thanks for
Thank
the
you,
feedback.
ma'am. Thank you,
I think
Yash.
it
Bye
will help
bye.
a lot. Bye. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Ayushi.
Bye.